Dear students, good morning. Welcome to the lesson 2 of week 3 at term 3. And at term 3, week 3 of lesson 1, we discussed about parasitic worm known as tapeworm, their transmission, symptom, and control method. Today, we are going to discuss about a bacterial disease, which is different to that of parasitic disease. The objective of this lesson is, by the end of this section, the students will be able to identify the causative agent of bacterial disease, list bacterial disease, explain the effects of these two main types of bacterial disease, which are tuberculosis and cholera, mention the transmission, symptom, and control methods of tuberculosis and cholera. Let's discuss one by one. The first type of bacterial disease is tuberculosis. By the way, as you know, bacteria are classified in kingdom Monera. We will discuss in chapter 5 for the future. But these bacteria have plant and animal like characteristics. Like plants, they have cell wall. Like animal, they do not have chlorophyll. And the cell wall is no cellulose. And the genetic material is not bound by a membrane. This is one of the main characteristics of bacteria. So those bacterial diseases have this type of characteristics. The first type of bacterial disease, tuberculosis, it is caused by a bacterium known as causative agent, Mycobacterium tuberculosis. This is the causative agent mainly that can cause tuberculosis. It usually affects the lung when it is called a pulmonary tuberculosis. Why it is named as a pulmonary tuberculosis? Because from right ventricle pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood towards the lung. Again, from the lung pulmonary vein carry oxygenated blood to left auricle. Due to this reason, two pulmonary blood vessels, arteries and veins, this type of a disease, bacterial disease known as tuberculosis, is named as a pulmonary tuberculosis. The other part of our body that can also be affected by tuberculosis include kidney, lymph node, joints, and bone. Tuberculosis affects anyone at any stage of age. There is no selection for the age, but people with a weakened immune system, such as people suffering from HIV/AIDS, are at the increased risk of catching it. So this type of bacterial disease, tuberculosis, is highly risky for weak immune systems. This spreads by a droplet infection, but it requires a prolonged exposure to someone with tuberculosis for infection to occur. Because of its ways of transmission, it's spread more easily when people live or work in a crowded condition. So overcrowdedness is one of main transmission way. Its symptoms include a low-grade fever, night sweat, muscle fatigue, weight loss, and persistent cough. However, some people do not have obvious symptoms or asymptomatic. Mainly, those asymptomatic people have a strong immune system. Control and prevention. This type of bacterial disease is controlled and prevented. People with active tuberculosis disease must complete a course of antibiotic treatment for about 4 months and above. But if the patient stops taking their antibiotic before they are completely cured, not only may they fall ill again, but also antibiotic resistant strains of the bacteria may appear, which are more difficult for treatment. Dear students, to stop or to overcome the spread of tuberculosis, the tuberculosis patients have to cover their mouths and nose during coughing, moving away from overcrowded living and working place as much as possible. There is also a very effective vaccine against tuberculosis. The second type of bacterial disease, which is listed in your textbook, is cholera. Cholera is caused by a causative agent, Vibrio cholerae. It's named. It affects the intestinal tract. The bacteria are spread by drinking or eating food, or water contaminated by a fecal waste of an infected person. This occurs more often in areas without clean water supplies and proper sewage disposal. It is a particular problem after disasters and at a big celebrations and a festival, when many thousands of people are crowded together with a little or without any sanitation. The symptom of cholera is many people who pick up the vibrio cholerae do not become ill and never know they have been infected, but they still pass the bacteria out in their face, which can infect other people. Others experience mild to severe diarrhea, vomiting, and dehydration, but generally without fever. After the exposure, the symptoms may appear from a few hours to few days. The pale watery diarrhea is so severe it can kill the vulnerable people from dehydration within hours. People can also vomit almost continuously. They suffer from severe muscle cramps from the loss of salts, dehydration, and shock as their blood pressure drops. One of the last topic of this lesson is how we can control or prevent this type of the second bacterial disease, cholera. The biggest problem with cholera is the severe dehydration that results from the diarrhea. So, on treating the disease, priority should be given to replace the fluid and the salts which have been lost. This is done by mouth by encouraging the patient to drink rehydration fluid, but often by using intravenous drip. To put the liquid straight back into the blood is mainly vital. Antibiotics are also used to treat the disease. They can reduce the time gap of the diarrhea and stop any more bacteria being shed in the face. There is a vaccine against cholera, but it gives only partial protection, which means 50%, which only lasts for 2 up to 6 months. The single most important preventive measure is to make sure that worldwide everyone has a supply of clean, uncontaminated water and the sewage is disposed of effectively. Dear students, let's remind today's lesson. Today, we are only discussing about a bacterial disease known as tuberculosis and cholera, their symptoms, transmission, and prevention ways. Thank you for your attentive listening. Stay safe.